Hello, I'm Amy Stevenson, and this is The Human CEO. In each episode, we'll be meeting with senior leaders to understand their approach to leadership, the challenges they faced, and how they overcame them. We'll also be asking what they feel it takes to be a great leader.
I was very creative and entrepreneurial, even at school, and I thought I can put that to good use and help other people as well in terms of developing that. So it was born in, I think it's in my DNA.
Welcome to The Human CEO. I'm your host, Amy Stevenson, and today I'm joined by Paul Atherton. Paul is the Managing Director of Denmans Electrical Wholesale as part of the Wholesale Group, the largest electrical distributor in the world. With over 75 years' experience, Denmans Electrical Wholesalers are proud to offer trade customers the choice and value they can rely on. Paul began his career with a stint in the military before working his way into management. From there, he was trusted by a mentor to lead a team of 250 people. Paul now has over 20 years' experience in leadership and joins us today to share his insight as a leader and a human CEO. So thanks for joining us today, Paul. It's great to have you with us.
Yes, you too. Good to meet you, Amy.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time. So what I want to do is just start by understanding Denmans a little bit better. Could you tell us about your organisation, what it stands for and what you're working towards at the minute?
Yeah, we're a electrical wholesaler, 74 branches across the UK, got 360 employees. We're part of a major group called Wholesale, that's a big Fortune 500. And Denmans are all about service proposition to the customer, growing in a digital world. Mm-hmm. The team spirit's one of real knowledge and professionalism within its market sector. And a very colourful and exciting business disrupting the market at the moment.
Fantastic. And so being that colourful and exciting business, what kind of challenges are you up against at the moment as a leader of that organisation?
I think one of our biggest challenges right now is continuing to keep a real progressive theme in a business while many people are remote working. Mm-hmm. So trying to get people collectively in an office is difficult. Mm-hmm. Using technology like Zoom and Teams has been beneficial, but I think one of the challenges that a lot of the team has is still that personal interaction. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of our core ones. The secondary challenge at the moment that we see in the market is around distribution. So many demands and commands for distributors like DPD or UPS. And that's always a challenge when most of our products are delivered to an end user.
Yeah, fantastic. And so in terms of, I guess, manufacturing that team ethos when people are working remotely, what are you doing to manufacture that or to facilitate that at the moment?
So we try and do early morning huddles, as we've been calling them, to get people together, get them ready for the day. And I suppose it's normally a kind of tea or coffee on a morning where people are just having that social time. So this great kind of idea of a huddle seems to be working well. And then trying not to have meetings for too long. Trying to have kind of shorter bursts of meetings seems to be working well for us too.
Good, fantastic. And so your career as a leader, you've spent quite a lot of time in director level roles, so leading sales and marketing teams, and now obviously the role that you're in at the moment. How did your journey into leadership develop? Where did that come from? Was it by design or was it quite organic?
It was probably more by chance, to be fair. I think I always had a dream where I wanted to go to and always had a plan in the back of my mind. But I was with a company called the Cordwell Group, and they were Phones for You was probably their most known brand. And as I developed through the sales organisation there, I was identified and had my kind of first person to manage, and that grew to 3 and to 5. And then John Cordwell, who was the owner and CEO, threw me, for probably better want of a word, into a business with 250 people to manage at 26 years old. So I kind of evolved and learned by
swim, isn't it? At that point.
Absolutely, yeah, it was. It was very much that, and that then continued. So probably more by luck than by desire, maybe at the time.
Yeah. And then what was slightly off piece, but what was the first thing that you learned? What was the big lesson at 26, going from a couple of people to 250 people? For
me, probably the biggest lesson was, and it's obvious, we're not all the same. So in terms of our drivers, in terms of our work ethics, and in terms of our open and honesty can sometimes be different. I learned that, very quickly. What some people say isn't always what some people mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the motivators are always different, aren't they?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very much.
So it was all by chance, but in terms of leadership, when did you decide that was the path that you wanted to continue down?
Probably as a young boy at school, to be fair.
Really?
So I, as I left school, I was going to follow a military career into the Royal Marines, and I started that process with them, and it learnt me about leading teams in really difficult situations. I spent 2 weeks on the Brecon Beacons with a bunch of kind of guys, and it was definitely crisis management is probably a good way to explain that experience. So from a young age, for me, it really was.
That was the job for you? Yeah,
it was. And I don't know why that is, but I always had this kind of thought of I was very creative and entrepreneurial, even at school, and I thought I can put that to good use and help other people as well in terms of developing that. So it was born in, I think it's in my DNA.
Yeah, brilliant. And so in terms of sort of how you would define a great leader, is there a pigeonhole, I guess, I hate the phrase, but can you define a great leader by characteristics, or are leaders many different things?
I think there's many different things. And what's been important for me working in both very entrepreneurial and privately owned companies to big FTSEs and PLCs is you lock onto a particular leader, I think, that develops you as an individual, but that may be different for another individual. So for leadership, for me, I've always found people that are very entrepreneurial, kind of help me in terms of that vision. And for me, a leader that can create a vision of where everybody wants to go to, but you're not quite sure how to get there.
Yeah.
And that's a real leadership trait, that somebody can still keep that team going in the same direction.
Yeah.
And listening and understanding as well those individual motivators, for me, is a big part of a great leader.
Fantastic. And so your influences, do they come from the military, or are there role models from your past that you identify with, that you find yourself going back to?
I think one of the things that the kind of military part, and before going to the marine part, I'd gone through the cadets and that kind of thing. It teaches you a lot of things about time management, looking after yourself, being prepared, being organised, working as a team, being really reliable on each other. Yeah. So I do think that has helped, even down to always having greatly polished shoes, as bizarre as that sounds.
No,
it's kind of one of those traits, I think, that does take you on that journey.
Yeah, down to the detail, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so is there one piece of advice that anyone's ever given you that's helped shape your career, or that you always come back to? The
piece for me was in the Caldwell group again, where I probably learned a lot of good things, and also probably not some great things that you change over time. And it was a kind of saying that was, while people around you are losing their heads, try and keep that calmness. And it's done me so well when I've been in situations that are stressful or highly difficult, just to kind of take a back step and to be calm and to put it in perspective. That was a great piece of advice, and it really has stood with me, for many years now. Yeah,
it served you well, and it served many leaders well at the minute, and certainly over the last 12 months. Take that step back. And so the purpose of the podcast is to help share knowledge of leadership and how to develop a career in leadership. So if you were speaking to someone that was either looking to follow in your footsteps, or they were in sort of a senior role, about to step into a leadership role, what advice would you offer them at the moment to succeed?
I would say always have a plan, and don't be blinkered within your organisation. So you as yourself are a brand, and think about where you want to go. So if you want to achieve a particular milestone, have a plan of how you get there. And you can always question, is the organisation you're in the right organisation to get you all the way there, or part of the way there? Hopefully you'd want it to be all the way there. So that would be the advice I give. Have that plan, and reflect on it. So don't just set a plan for 5 years and put it in a drawer, but look at it every quarter, every 6 months, and say, am I on the milestones or the stepping stones, kind of where I want to get to achieve that ambition?
Yeah, fantastic. And so, final question, which is sometimes the hardest, but in terms of one leader, past or present, is there anyone that you particularly admire that's helped shape your career?
There is, it was a guy called Mark Ormerod. And Mark was the group chief executive in the Caldwell Group. A very bright, very charismatic individual. We're still friends now. Mark taught me a lot, and he really drove me to have capability I never probably realised I had in terms of the leadership and form part of my personality, to be fair. So, Mark is that guy for me.
Fantastic. And sometimes I think your career is shaped by that person that sees what you've not seen yet. Definitely.
And he was the one that threw me into the 200 plus people management. And as a young guy in mid-20s, daunting task, stood up in front of a team like that, introducing yourself. But I came away from it and thought, I've kind of done it and I can do that. So, he gave me something that many people probably wouldn't. But he did. He saw that opportunity that Paul had, really. Yeah.
It must have been confident that you could swim rather than sink.
I think so. Yeah, we do smile about it and talk about it now. At the time, it didn't seem it. I remember the butterflies and the sleepless night getting ready for this thing. But now, he always said, I kind of always trusted you, and I know where you could get to. And still now, he kind of says there's a long way to go for you, Paul.
Brilliant. I'm a big believer. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but I think the further you step out your comfort zone, the bigger it gets.
It does, absolutely. Yeah, and I give that same advice to my people in business now and my kids. Give them exactly that same advice.
Brilliant. And so what's next for Denmans? I see you're opening a Leeds site currently. Is that?
Yes. So we've just opened a Leeds site in COVID, which is obviously a brave thing to do. We're really using our digital capabilities to benefit that for Denmans. We want to double the size of what we are, so that's very exciting for the team. We want to create more products, welcome more customers. So we're on a real growth trajectory right now. Brilliant. And long may that continue, because it's working well.
Absolutely. And what's the secret to success for Denmans?
Listening to what the customer says and acting on it. So just that, talking with the customer, understanding what they want, what their needs are. That's it. That really is. And that's either direct with the customer via the teams that are facing the customer. I think a lot of businesses forget that. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. I really enjoyed speaking with you. It's been great to learn about your career and learn a bit more about Denmans as an organisation and the secret to success for you guys. Thank you, Amy.